In White Lotus Season 3, there is a very profound moment when Tim speaks to the Buddhist monk about what happens after we die. In this video, I'm going to explain what that Buddhist monk said and what Buddhists actually believe happens after we pass away. Hey guys, my name's Bradley Marcus. If you're new here, I talk all about Buddhism, specifically Theravadan Buddhism, the oldest form of Buddhism and the closest teachings to the Buddha. If you watched White Lotus Season 3, it takes place in Thailand, and as many people know, Thailand is mainly a Buddhist country, but did you know that they are specifically a Theravadan Buddhist country? That's right. There are other schools of Buddhism, and there are other countries that are Buddhist, but aren't Theravadan Buddhist. And it's really important to talk about the difference between the two because there's a lot of different practices and also some different beliefs that come into play when we talk about Theravadan Buddhism. And one of those beliefs is going to be about what happens after you pass away, because as the Buddhist monk mentions, it's not very similar to what Christians, Catholics, or other Abrahamic religions believe. I'm doing this in one take, so we're going to keep that in. So the Buddhist monk, as you may remember, said the following phrase or something similar. When we die, we are like a droplet in the ocean. And as the droplet leaves the ocean and goes up, it eventually has to come back down and go back into the ocean, and that it's a happy return back to the ocean. So what did this Buddhist monk mean? What I'm going to talk about here is very, very profound, and it's going to take you some time to fully understand it. So I encourage you at the end of this video to pause the video and just simply sit with the teaching that I'm about to give you. It is something that goes beyond words in a lot of ways. It is something that can change your life and change your perspective of life. But for you to truly understand what I'm about to say, it's much better if you look within yourself for this answer. If you quiet your mind in deep meditation and try to understand what I'm going to teach you through experience. Okay? So basically, what this Buddhist monk means is that this version of God, if we want to call it that, is like an ocean. And in fact, we are part of this God, and that we, when we are born, are still part of the ocean, but now we're this little droplet. We're still made up of the same water that the ocean is made up of. However, we are simply just experiencing life a little bit differently. If you are a spiritual individual, you may have heard this term before. I am the universe experiencing itself. But here's something that goes a bit deeper when it comes to Buddhism, and this is going to be the hard part for people to wrap their heads around. There is no God in Buddhism. There is no creator. And there is no oneness either. Meaning, it's not that we are just the universe experiencing itself, because all of that is way too literal and way too easy. What the Buddhist monk is saying is that like a wave arises in the ocean or a droplet that drops off in the ocean, it will come back down. The wave will change. The wave will go back into the ocean. And furthermore, that droplet will come back in. However, there is a difference. If that droplet is not separate from the ocean, is it really part of the oneness of the ocean? And the answer is no. Oneness inherently can't exist, specifically when we're talking about non-dualistic and Buddhist principles, because here's why. If I am God just experiencing myself, and I am part of oneness, because everything is one, and it is all connected, but wait a minute, if I am oneness, there has to be something that's not oneness, because in order for oneness to exist, this thing, something outside of it has to exist in order to differentiate it from being oneness or not oneness. I'm going to explain that again one more time. In order for me to say that, let's say, for example, there's the color black, there has to be the color white. But we're not trying to discuss it like that. We are not trying to differentiate things. We're trying to say that everything is together. So by me simply saying the universe is all together and we are all part of the universe and it's called oneness because we're all just one thing, well, something has to not be that one thing in order for there to be the one thing. So here is what Buddhist monks have been quoted in saying. It is more of a beingness. And in fact, what I like to say, and why my name is this on YouTube and all other channels, it is all is. I'm not hiccuping. There's not an edit in this video. Literally, all is. God is, or even just the word is. I like to use the word is instead of consciousness or collective consciousness or universe. Is. Beingness. These are more accurate terms because what it actually is saying is that everything is. It is all happening. It is all together, but it all is. I know it sounds like I'm repeating myself, but just hear what I'm saying. All is. Because as soon as I say, well, everything is one, I have to differentiate between what is one and what is not one. But when I say all is, it breaks the bounds of conceptual conversation. This is where the experiential aspect comes into it, and I encourage you to meditate on this. How can all things be one and still be all things? It can't. There has to be something to differentiate it. So a better, more accurate term is. So what I like to say is, yes, it is an ocean. And yes, we are the droplet. And yes, we are the wave. And every experience is a wave, just like a wave can come up in an ocean and then it goes down. And where did it go? It goes back into the ocean. The difference is that I want you to picture an ocean that is ever expanding. You cannot pinpoint the end or the beginning of that ocean. That is what is happening. That is what true beingness means. That is what we're trying to achieve as Buddhists when we reach Nibbana, is to extinguish our karma, to stop being reborn into samsara, and to return, really, to this true state, to this place. But it's not a place, as many people know. Nibbana is not a place. Nirvana is not a place. This is getting very advanced, so I'm going to pull it back and stop here. But I want you to sit with this image now at the end of this video. I want you to imagine an ocean that's ever expanding. Just as a wave arises and it goes back down, where does that wave go? It goes back into this ever expanding ocean. So picture that. And then finally, I also want you to think about the fact that when we pass away, our beingness, that is, because remember, there's no souls in Buddhism, it also goes back. And it also comes right back into place and expands and spreads out and goes back into the rest. And parts get reborn and parts don't. That's what the Buddhist monk meant. All is, we are being. Thanks for watching the video, guys. If you enjoyed this, check out my other channel videos. Got some meditations on there. You can also meditate with me on Insight Timer. And yeah, I would love your feedback on this. Probably going to do another version of it if needed. All right, may you all be well. Much love to you guys. Thanks for the support on the channel.